Let's cue up the Huey Lewis and the news, rev up the flux capacitor, and take a joyride back to the over-the-top 1980s. A time when louder, bolder, and flashier wasn't just encouraged, it was required. In that neon-lit era, teenage cool didn't come from a leather jacket or a Walkman. It came with 4 wheels and a gas pedal. Your car wasn't just a ride, it was a rolling personality test, a mobile clubhouse, and a cassette-fueled dream machine that could empty your wallet while making you the king or queen of the cul-de-sac. So buckle in and crank the volume. We're counting down the top 7 teen dream cars of the 1980s. It's a parade of style, power, and more attitude than an MTV spring break special. At the number 1 spot, the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. The Trans Am wasn't just a car, it was a phenomenon. If you were a kid in the 80s, this was more than your dream ride, it was your alter ego. Ideally voiced by an AI named Kit, thanks to Knight Rider and David Hasselhoff's magnificent perm. The Trans Am became the ultimate symbol of cool with an edge. With its sleek black exterior and fire-breathing V8, it turned even a run to the store into an espionage thriller. It struck the perfect chord for teens, flashy enough to turn heads, just attainable enough to spark hope, and rebellious enough to drive parents up the wall. Coming in at the number 2 spot, the Chevrolet Camaro IROC-Z. Think of the IROC-Z as the Camaro's bad boy phase. If the Trans Am was the mysterious hero, this was his loud, fun-loving sidekick, sporting mullets, mirrored sunglasses, and a serious set of decals. The IROC-Z, named after the International Race of Champions, came with performance chops and an attitude to match. V8 growl? Check. Beefed up suspension? Yep. Street cred? Off the charts. Show up to high school in one of these and you weren't just making an entrance, you were issuing a challenge. At number 3, the Ford Mustang 5.0. When it came to raw, unfiltered power, nothing beat the Fox Body Mustang 5.0. It was loud, fast, and just rough enough around the edges to make it feel rebellious. This was the car for teens who didn't care about refinement. They wanted tire smoke and adrenaline. It was affordable, relatively, infinitely customizable, and gave birth to a whole generation of street racers. Slap on some exhaust mods, blast Def Leppard, and you weren't just commuting, you were starring in your own rock anthem. At number 4, the Toyota Supra, Mark II and III. On the flip side, the Toyota Supra was for the teen who preferred precision over brute force. Way before the Fast and the Furious turned it into a street legend, the Supra was already whispering promises of Japanese engineering greatness. Its clean lines, smooth inline-6 engines, and later turbocharged options gave it serious performance credibility. With digital gauges and pop-up headlights, it looked high-tech in a time when most dashboards still had wood paneling. A car for the teen who was into gadgets and gas pedals. At number 5, the Volkswagen GTI Mark I and II. Small but mighty, the Volkswagen GTI was the little hatchback that could, and it did. It was proof that fun didn't require a V8, just clever engineering and a tight chassis. With agile handling, room for friends and mixtapes, and enough European flair to stand out, the GTI was the ride of choice for teens who liked cornering as much as cruising. It wasn't flashy, but it was fast, and the red-trimmed grille was basically a wink to those in the know. At number 6, the Mazda RX-7, second generation FC. If there was ever a car that looked like a scaled-down exotic, it was the Mazda RX-7. Sleek, curvy, and futuristic, it packed a rotary engine that puzzled dads, but thrilled young drivers. The RX-7 was lightweight, handled like a dream, and offered sports car vibes without Ferrari prices. Those pop-up headlights? Pure 80s cool. This was the car for the teen who liked to carve canyons more than drag race, though it could hold its own at both. And at last, at number 7, the Ferrari Testarossa, the dream poster. Let's be real, no one's high school parking lot had a Ferrari Testarossa, unless your dad was a cocaine kingpin or owned half of Miami. This was a fantasy. Forever trapped on a poster next to the swimsuit model. But that was the point. With its impossibly wide stance, outrageous side strakes, and a howling flat V12 engine, the Testarossa wasn't meant to be driven by teens. It was meant to inspire them. It was the dream at the end of every arcade-fueled night, cruising down Ocean Drive in your imagination with synth beats in the background. A final epilogue, rolling toward freedom. In the 1980s, cars weren't just vehicles, they were escape plans. They were the ticket out of your driveway, the amplifier for your personality, and the soundtrack to your rebellion. Whether you dreamed of V8 rumble, turbocharged thrills, or European agility, there was a car that captured your teen spirit. Sure, most of us ended up with a hand-me-down Buick that smelled like French fries. But in our minds, we were behind the wheel of a Trans Am or tearing up the streets in a Supra, living the neon-soaked dream, one red light at a time.